Hey, welcome back to Mocktails with Marina. I'm your host, Marina, and today we've got Megan Klein of Little Saints here to discuss what it's like to have a renegade approach to the non-alc CPG space. I am so excited to dive in and learn so much more, so let's get right to it. Thank you so much for joining us today, Megan.
Thank you for having me, Marina.
Yes, let's get right into it. I would love to hear in your own words, what is Little Saints and how did you even get started with it?
So I got started with Little Saints. Little Saints was started during the pandemic. Like many people, I drank a lot of alcohol during the pandemic, and I love cocktails. So, like, I should just say, for many, many years, I was like most people. I like worked hard, exercised, ate healthy during the day, and I had a couple of cocktails at night to like wind down and socialize. And I grew up in Wisconsin where beer is a major food group, and I didn't ever like see a problem with my drinking. I mean, I hated like having a hangover and like I definitely like knew that I wasn't like feeling great from drinking, but then during the pandemic, like I was single, living alone in Detroit. Don't do that during the pandemic, but I was, and I was like just found myself having a drink or two every night and then just like not being able to escape how kind of foggy and just like a little bit depressed that was making me feel. I was always like high functioning, luckily. But I just was like really aware of what it was doing to my energy. And so I had always failed at dry January. Like I'd failed at like 20 dry Januaries, I'd quit on the day 11, 15, 17. And so this time I was like, all right, I'm going to do this. So I bought everything that was like out there. And there were like some good non-alc brands that were already started in January 2021 that are still out there today that I do love. But I kind of looked at my big dining table that was covered with all of the non-alc options, and everything was everything had sugar. And I was like, well, if I'm gonna have sugar, I'm just gonna have an alcoholic drink. Um, Nothing really had like a smell, and I'm really big on like aromas and smells. And that's like one of the reasons we love drinking alcohol is because like it has a great smell, and then we remember the good time we had and associate it with the smell. It didn't have a smell. And then the third thing was it didn't have like a really good functional ingredient that I like to incorporate into my routine. Like I'm pretty witchy. I've been working with like functional mushrooms like in my coffee and like supplements during the day for a long time. And so because I had been in the food and beverage industry before, I started a salad dressing and dip brand called Field and Farmer. And before that, I ran a hydroponic basil farm. Luckily I knew how to make things. And so my brain like just like lit on fire. And I was like, okay, I think that I can really make an impact in this space and like also like create something that I would want to drink and like people like me that like alcohol, would want to drink. And that's how Little Saints was born.
That's such a beautiful story. And I love that you have this interesting perspective. As you mentioned, you have this witchy perspective and you understand what it takes to like kind of put a functional ingredient into these mocktails. And I think that that's really cool because, there's a whole spectrum of sobriety in this space. And there are some people who want no effects, they just want flavor. Then there are some people who want some effects, but they are cool with some and not with others. What I found most interesting about Little Saints to this point is that it's a very welcoming list of functional ingredients. So, what made you choose the functional ingredients that you did, and what made you leave out some of the other options that you may have considered?
Well, because this is the whole story and because you have other founders listening. So, like most people know, we started also with CBD in the formula. We started with the cans, and the original formula was reishi mushroom, CBD, and terpenes. Terpenes are aromatics. They're like the smell that lift your mood. Reishi mushroom is like a mushroom that I consider like I associate with like the take the edge off feeling. And it's also good for immunity, but we really add it for that take the edge off feeling. And then CBD, we all know what CBD does. That's also like kind of relaxing. And I launched with the those three functional ingredients in the cans, and I chose those because I worked to formulate these with a woman, this amazing food scientist with her master's in adaptogens. And I really was like, okay, like I do, these aren't intoxicating, like they're not gonna like hit you in the face with feeling, but like the idea is that they do have like a subtle mood shifting, mood elevating effect. And I wanted them to have that take the edge off feeling. So originally we formulated with the CBD and the reishi mushroom and the terpenes. Um, and then I really didn't want to add more than that. Like, I think just from my own practices, whenever I combine too many adaptogens, I feel like insane. Like, I don't know if you've ever felt that feeling.
Oh
Or
yeah.
like if I have like I have like an adaptogen shot that's like at Erewhon, or like I had one in Miami, and I was like, whoa, like I feel altered in not a good way. Like I don't like mixing too many adaptogens. I feel like it's like confuses my body. And I'm just like, it's too much for me. So I know just from my own practices that like sticking with one or two things and using like a really potent, like the best of whatever that is going to be more effective in my body than mixing like 10 things together. I just think that's like, I know that from like my own practice. And so that's how I like created the Little Saints formulas. And then, we had the CBD in the drinks for the first 2 years that we were out there. And then I probably should have taken out CBD out of the drinks before we did, but we didn't. And the reason we kept the CBD in is because I started out using a reishi mushroom extract that was not like the same mushroom extract that we use today. I found this like amazing like organic farm that does like precision extraction of the beta glucan from reishi and lion's mane mushroom. And once like I found that this is like the absolute like Rolls Royce of mushroom suppliers, like once we found that and started experimenting with that and talked to the food scientist, talked to a neuroscientist, and really like started to understand that like a reishi mushroom, when it's like super potent precision reishi mushroom, can really have like a more effective kind of take the edge off feeling than other adaptogens or other mushrooms could. Like it was a pretty easy switch from CBD plus like a sort of like less potent mushroom to just like going all in on the reishi on the cans. And then we also have the St. Amber Spirit, which by the way, it's like our best-selling product, and that never had any CBD in it. That always just had or the same kind of like level of potency lion's mane mushroom.
What a beautiful combination of ingredients. I think it's really cool that you mention here that having too many functions in one drink does not necessarily increase the value of your drink. There is such thing as balance here. So
Yeah.
when you were formulating, one of the newest drinks that you came out with was your mojito, which, oh my gosh, it is so delicious. I couldn't have enough of it during our road trip. It definitely set the perfect vibe. And I love that you have Damiana in it. So
Oh yeah,
can you tell
the
us a
new
little bit?
guy.
Yeah,
Our
tell us a little
new
bit about
our
that
new
one.
children have Damiana in them, my new kids. So the core four flavors, which are spicy marg, paloma, ginger, and Negroni spritz. They have that super potent reishi mushroom, and then they have the aroma, the aromatics, the terpenes in them. We've been having a lot of fun with launching seasonal flavors with an additional ingredient in there, and that is Damiana. So we use the same potent reishi, and then we use Damiana. And Damiana, you are not allowed to say this on packaging, but it's known as by some people as an aphrodisiac. It's like really kind of like inspires kind of body feeling. And like it's like kind of known as the love herb. And so there are some other beautiful brands that like use Damiana in some of their formulations. We use a kick of Damiana. We use like a 100 milligrams, which is like definitely kind of like a supplemental dose of it. And we found that combining Damiana and reishi together like provides like a little bit of a different feeling. Like when I'm actually having one right now. We just launched spiced old fashioned today, so I gotta send you some of those. But it gives you like you kind of like gives you a little zazzle. I can't describe it. It's like gives you like take the edge off feeling, and then you kind of feel like ooh.
Yeah, I have tried so many functional beverages in my life, and I have never experienced anything quite like this combination before. It's so uplifting. Like, the first time I tried it, I was having a very stressful day, trying to do way too many things at the same time. And then my husband went and checked the mail. The package was there. We both gave it a
Mm.
try, and instantly our day had entirely turned around. I cannot emphasize how much I love that one enough.
Oh, I'm so grateful to hear it. Well, it's the same blend in the spiced old fashioned, so we'll send those to you too.
Mm. Yeah, I can't wait. And all of this makes me think like this is one of the most thoughtful drinks that I've experienced in a while. And, we've had conversations before where, you have a lot of intent here, right? You have a lot of you bring a lot of yourself into this brand. And so I'd like to ask, what important beliefs do you hold that help you navigate the uncertainty in business and in life?
Oh my gosh, where do I start? I think that, listen, I think that I believe that entrepreneurs are channels of a certain, not to get too woo here, but like, I think that I am really good and really committed to just like watching and observing what people are looking for and like what is out there and what's not out there. And like as an entrepreneur, like what can I bring to the world, whether it's like a Little Saints product or whether it's the type of content that we put out there or whether it's like the vibe of our messaging. I'm really kind of, I feel like I have a good pulse to like what do people actually like really want to see and hear. And like I think that that is my job as an entrepreneur more than just like, oh, I'm going to make this paloma for you. It's like, okay, what like what are people feeling in the collective and what do we need to deliver? So I think like number one is just like my absolute steadfast commitment to like really being like an observer to what people want, not what I want, specifically. I mean, like, I don't drink anymore. I've quit alcohol like 2 years ago, but like the vast majority of our customers still drink alcohol. All my friends and family still drink alcohol. Our entire team drinks alcohol. Like, I'm definitely like, we're not judging anyone. We believe that the future of the back bar is a rainbow of fuels and liquids, and Little Saints, mushroom infused, like functional mushroom infused cocktails are just like one piece of the rainbow. Um, and so I think, that it's just like being really committed to not just having like my own personal views like lead the company. It's listening to the team, it's listening to our customers and just like really kind of being sensitive to the like the energy that's out there of what people want. So that's like, putting the collective first. And then I think in order to be an entrepreneur, you've kind of got to have a good sense of risk taking, like a high tolerance for risk. I don't know what you think, but I think luckily I was born with a high tolerance for risk. And I think that really helps in this craziness.
It really does. And I had to write down the phrase entrepreneurs are channels because it's the most succinct way to describe it. You know, there are plenty of trials and errors that occur in the journey, hence the risk tolerance. And I feel like, this is not my first business. This is my third. And the first two that I went very deeply in was within the entertainment industry. And I was an event producer and I ran away with the circus and did a lot of crazy things. And I hit burnout right as the pandemic was coming in and like closing a lot of things down. So it was like wild timing. But I mention all this because upon reflection and starting this third business here, I turned to my husband and I'm like, the only way we can do this is like before I was doing very like live fast, die young kind of stuff, like very like do whatever I needed to do to hustle to get the money, to get the bag. And at this point, you realize that's not a very sustainable model long term. And it doesn't cater to the community in the same way because you're so busy, trying to make your vision be seen. So, this different approach of really focusing on being a channel and being tuned into the environment around you and responding to that, I think that's one of the most brilliant lessons because in this business, like I mentioned, we wanted to do things differently. And So we're very like faith-based in what we do. So no matter what, no matter how crazy of the day, no matter how unclear things may seem, we always stop. We have our rituals, we have our meditations, we have our herbs that help us get centered. And I think that entrepreneurs are channels like this really just shows like how important it is. Like it becomes your job to take care of yourself in a completely different way in order to be
Hmm.
able to be there for people. And all of that being said, it is 2024 as of this recording, and there are so many different ways to do business and different ways to measure success. So, before we start talking and going really deep on your renegade approach, how do you define success? Like, what are the KPIs that like make your heart the happiest?
I mean, the first KPI comes from within myself and like, do I go to bed every day like feeling like I had a day that was full of integrity? Like, am I like telling the truth? Is like my intuition matching like my actions on the outside? And generally, like if that is intact, then like everything else that I'm going to say falls in line. I mean, my KPI is like, do I have a happy team? I think that really like flows through to the brand. So like, am I treating my team with kindness and respect? Am I like, are they feeling fulfilled? Are they like feeling like they are, you know, like, do they feel like they have purpose during the day? And like that they like that like are they like happy and like really feeling like fulfilled and full of purpose? And then obviously like I have like major, I mean I'm like a business person. I have a Kellogg MBA. I'm here to win it. Like, and I have like, I have quarterly sales goals. I've got fundraising goals. I have margin goals. Like I'm very much also like tied to our P&L. But before all of that happens, like, I've got to be in full integrity and my team has to feel happy and full of purpose.
Mama Megan, here to just take care of the team. I bet you have the happiest team. Every time uh, anytime we see your marketing or anything you have to say on LinkedIn, everything you've got going on, I think it speaks volumes to being an aligned person. Like you are a great example of that personal and professional alignment. So that being said, let's talk about your renegade approach. I'm just going to let you take the wheel and tell us more about, what was your business plan when you started and how did it end up?
I mean, listen, I was 42 when I started Little Saints and I like had a pretty big nest egg. I mean, I've said this before, but I thought I wanted to get married and have kids, and I didn't do that because I was supposed to birth Little Saints into the world. And so I spent like a lot of money like doing Little Saints in the beginning. And I am so happy that I invested in myself, but that also meant that like hilariously, like in the beginning, like I was like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I think like it's a waste of time for entrepreneurs to put together a real business plan unless like you want to take on an investor super early on. And luckily I didn't have to do that. I really wanted to like, first of all, test out if my experience was like a collective experience. So I think that you may have heard this, but I started out selling little things out of a vending trailer. I did not launch our website until November 2021. And before November 2021, I launched in Memorial Day weekend 2021 out of, I called my vending trailer affectionately, her name is Baby Mint. And she with a used corn vending trailer from Wisconsin, and she got a mint green glow up. And I launched her. There's this like cool movement techno festival in Detroit. Detroit's like the home of techno, and like I parked Baby Mint outside of this cool like music club coffee shop awesome place called Spotlight and like sold Little Saints out of the trailer for that first day. And I kind of continued that throughout the summer. Like I that meant that I went to, I mean, it was like insane. I went to like 50 events, like towing the trailer by myself, which I don't know if you want to call like renegade or idiotic, but I went, I like, it was great because then I got to like sample and sell to thousands of people. And like, really hear their stories. And many people would come up to the trailer holding a beer and they were like, yeah, I like really drank too much during the pandemic. I got to figure this out. Or like, like I just, or maybe they wanted to quit. Most people didn't want to quit. Most people were like just looking for something else. And that was such a helpful experience because I think that I can be a little too wordy, like, because I'd like geek out on the witchy things. So I'd be like terpenes and mushrooms and beta glucan and all this stuff. And people are like, what are you talking about? Like, what does this taste like? And so that was like really good because I was like, oh, okay. Like in the beginning, our bestseller can is a Paloma, and I called it a plant loma. And then it was like, is it like a, whatever, a terpene mule? No, it's like a ginger mule. Like people really wanted something that was like as close to what they liked drinking and what was familiar to them as possible. And they did not want like a bunch of gobbledygook words from me about like the ingredient profile. Like and that's actually continued to this day. Like I just went to the Sprouts Con like supplier trade show with all the Sprouts store managers. I loved it. And like it was very similar there. Like the main points were like, okay, what does this taste like? Like a spicy margarita should be like adjacent to like the way an alcoholic spicy margarita would taste like. People like generally are looking for no sugar. So Little Saints are sugar free, sweetened with monk fruit. And like I just learned how to hopefully describe the products in like really simple language so that like it wasn't like it's already a non-alc is already sort of a learning curve, It's like, how do I incorporate this into my life? And then Little Saints has functional mushrooms in it. So some people are like, does this get me high? So like the flavors and like what it is had to be like as straightforward as possible. So that summer, actually into fall, like really helped me like figure that out. So that was like the renegade approach is like I sold out of a trailer towing it by myself. I don't know if that's, again, that might just be dumb. And then we have done things like not with a lot of support. So I've raised a couple rounds of like angel funding now, and like, now like we're getting bigger. And so we have to like raise real capital. But like I've been lucky to work with like my business partner, Katie, is my friend and our CMO. And like she and I just like really roll up our sleeves and like do stuff on our own. Like I don't think that small brands should hire agencies. I had a really bad time with many of them, and I wasted a lot of money working with agencies. And so, like, I would just say in our case, the renegade approach was like last summer. I mean, I cannot believe it was like only a year ago. That seems insane, but like maybe 14 months ago, Katie and I were like, this is dumb. Like, we were like wasting so much time managing these agencies where we could just like do it ourselves. And then again, it would feel more aligned and authentic. And like, why don't we just do that? And so we did. And like, if we had VC funding, they'd be like, absolutely not. You need to be covered. You can't do this all yourselves. And we were like, no, we're just going to do that. And the company like grew exponentially when we like cut the noise. And now we're definitely building back things. Like my payroll seems very high now, but like we built back what we needed very slowly, and really like we're able to decide what we needed and what we didn't, rather than like kind of like building a big team and assuming that's what we needed, which like takes again like some risk tolerance, because if had I had a board during this period, or had I had like any outside oversight, like I'm sure they would have looked at us and been like, you can't like do this all yourself. This is dumb.
Which is wild because every time I look at your social media now, I can't wait for the next episode of the characters you give each
Oh my
ingredient.
gosh, we have been too busy to do the characters, and Damiana really wants to come out because yeah, Damiana, yeah, I really need to get. We haven't done a little character video in a while, but Damiana is out in a new flavor today with Spice Old Fashioned. She's going to make an appearance next week, so yeah, we'll get them back. And you know why we do the
Yay.
characters, right? I mean, I hope so. But like, listen, we get lost in our own word salad of like what our ingredients do sometimes, and then we're like, these are just words. This sounds terrible, Like, what are we talking about? And so we're like, what does a reishi mushroom feel like? And a reishi mushroom feels like a chill girl from LA who like does breath work, and like she goes hiking and she's just like very chill. And Damiana is like a sex coach, and she's like wild and just like in her body and just like wants to eat everyone. And then Lion's Mane is like, I say this with love because I love Andrew Huberman. Lion's Mane is like Andrew Huberman, like everything is like optimized and like focused. And then Terpene Queen, I feel like Terpene Queen needs a little character development, but Caribbean Queen's like a forest fairy, you know, like just like smelling everything, like very like natural and just like that little like fairy uplift. So we're trying to show, that's a long way to say we're trying to show, not tell with the ingredient characters on what these ingredients feel like.
It's brilliant and it works because, like you said, sometimes it just feels like a word salad to try to explain what these functional ingredients do, how they feel, all the things, but people can relate to stories so much. I can literally imagine like a Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, but like Little Saints edition, like
Oh my
coming to a
gosh.
movie theater near you.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, I am so excited. I have actually news. I don't know when this is going to air, but Little Saints is going to be on Shark Tank.
Wow, that's so exciting.
Yeah, on October 18th. And we were like, okay, we've got to do like how would each of the characters pitch the sharks? That's our next mission
I
for the
can't wait.
characters.
I can't wait. This is going to be so fun to see. I'm so impressed with a lot of the things that you do and a lot of the ways that you choose to do business because like you said, like there are certain prescriptions, so to speak, that other companies would like to put out there, like, oh, you need this, that, and the other. Like, for example, with the board potentially being very against not using agencies. So, that being said, walk us through a day in the life as a CEO of Little Saints. Like, what is it like to work with you? And, you know, how do you respond to, you know, different things that come up throughout the day? So, here's an example, real quick. So, for example, when I was talking to a CEO who had a beer company, and he was the CEO of multiple beer companies, he's working on a couple different projects at the same time. So he had a very like disconnected, but not in a negative way, more so just like he had things very optimized and streamlined with everything we've been talking about, I feel a very grassroots vibe with Little Saints. So, what's it like on a day-to-day basis with working in your company, but also like keeping in mind that there's some work that's in person and some that is remote? Like, how do you manage all of that?
Um, well, first, the key to life is not looking at your phone for the first hour of the day. I think that applies to everyone. That's what I do. So I
Hmm.
don't look at my phone. I'm not doing work first. I'm like doing my own stuff first, meditate and do yoga. And then like every day, listen, like when we have a daily check-in with everyone and we talk about like what we need to get done for that day. Like we're a real company, like we have monthly meetings, like we know what everyone needs to get done. Like everything is transparent. Um, I'm managing all of the departments and making sure everything is moving forward. I'm making sure everyone has the resources they need. I think it's really important. Um, as a CEO, and this is something I'm constantly working on, is to like keep my energy high. You know, like I can get stressed out, and then if I'm projecting that on other people, like it's not good. So it's like really my job to like stay in like a good energetic space. So again, people feel good working together and with me and for me. So really, and then to be honest, because we're still short staffed, like I'm still doing like a ton of stuff. I'm not only like managing things. That sounds like a great day, but you know, I'm still like helping with our the tie high on our self sheet and trying to figure out like some projections. And you know, there's a lot of like administrative work still to be done with a small team.
So many things, so little time. But it's so
Hmm.
cool to see that you're at this expansive stage where, I mean, hey, going on to Shark Tank, who knows what next month is going to look like?
I know. I wish I really really I'm like, does anyone know how to? I mean, Melanie from Gia did it. She did a great job. I should reach out to her actually. I didn't even think about that until now. So yeah, we have no idea what's going to happen. We'll see.
That's so exciting. And speaking of exciting, not knowing what could potentially happen in the future, let's play in Dream Wishland for a second. So, if I gave you a magic wand that you could wave and you could either change something that already exists in the non-alc industry or add something new that doesn't currently exist but would really help you out, what would it be and why?
I mean, the most obvious kind of boring thing is like I think like every single grocery store and liquor store should have like a 4 foot non-alc set. I mean, they should have more at some point, but like I think like specifically alcohol replacements. I think like non-alc is still all over a lot of mainstream grocery stores and liquor stores. Like it needs its own like 4 foot, 8 foot, 12 foot set. So I'd like to see like a lot more brands on shelf and a lot more variety for people to choose from. You know, there's like rows and rows and rows and rows of alcohol. Like we need like the non-alc set to like really take up. 4 foot set. What was I talking about? I was thinking about this small store around the corner for me in Miami. I'm like talking about like there's got to be a lot of shelf space um dedicated to non-alc for sure. My wish list. I mean, I'm also really excited. Little Saints is expensive, as you've seen. Like, we have those mushrooms are not cheap. I don't cut any corners. Like, we are getting the vast majority of everything that we buy, aside from the glass, from the United States. Like, everything is expensive. Our ingredients are insane. And so, Little Saints is expensive. And what I'm really excited is to see like a more like ultra premium category. I wouldn't consider Little Saints ultra premium. It's still like accessible to many people, but I'm excited to see like even more expensive like non-alcs emerge, so that we have like a broader category. One of the things that I really, really dislike is when I'll talk to a buyer, like a bartender or a bar manager or whatever, and they like want non-alc to be way cheaper than alcohol because it's like somehow less than. And so I'm really excited for like more higher price, higher premium non-alcs to come on the market along with Little Saints so that we can really develop this category as something that is like better than alcohol in many cases, you know? And so I'm really excited for that too.
Yes, I hear you on that one. Earlier today, I was reading some newsletter and it showed me that there is a brand new, I can't remember exactly which type of wine, definitely non-alc, but they're trying to make it over $100 and they're trying to do all
Oh
the market
yeah, it was
research to
the
make it perfect.
Taninger, I think.
Yes, that's what it was.
LVMH invested in. I don't have the exact details right now, but
Yeah, so cool. And right when I saw that, I instantly celebrated this morning because we are here. The non-alc space is growing and expanding, and there are new products that come out every day, but it's still not enough, like you said, in the grocery stores. I can't tell you how many times on our road trip when we'd really like a sample, so we wanted to go get a little bit more just for our own personal enjoyment. And so we'd go to the stores, and whether we were going to Total Wine, Sprouts, Whole Foods, anything, and each type of drink, like we had to go across the store just to like find all of the options. There was nothing that was like, I shouldn't say nothing, but a lot of things were not just in one place and in a big amount. So I wholeheartedly agree with that magic wand wave. And I think that this is a very encouraging message for anyone out there who's listening who maybe wants to bottle their own drinks. If you want to do specialty drinks, if you want to do artisan drinks that have more expensive ingredients in there, that is more refined, that has more, not more function as in just like too many functions in one drink, but more perceived value for people. That being said, you know, what besides Shark Tank, which is a very fun, exciting thing coming up next, is that a route you would ever want to go with Little Saints, or is there other fun opportunities coming up that you are more focused on?
to be honest, I mean, if we were going to go in one direction, it would probably be that one. I hadn't contemplated anything like $100. I mean, you never know. Like I like expensive things. I like really like premium ingredients. If we found some crazy ingredient, maybe. But I really like the spot that we're in. You know, we're our customers are over 35. Like we're definitely not going towards Gen Z like a lot of the other non-alc brands are. We're going for people over 35 that have like a little bit of disposable income and they were used to like spending a ton of money on cocktails and they're happy to like have a premium option. Little Saints, like I think we would want to keep it like accessible and mainstream enough where we wouldn't probably would do like $100 bottle of anything.
Mm. I love all of this. I know I keep saying that over and over again, but I just think that it's so cool because oftentimes I have clients who ask me, hey, I want to do this. It cost me this much so far, which means I feel like I'm outpriced on the market I want to go for. And my very next question to them is always, is the goal to to service the market that you're currently focused on? Or is this product you have in mind actually more beneficial for another market? So, it's not one of those things that you have to pigeonhole yourself in. I've seen multiple other brands have, very affordable options for anybody. And then seen them also have premium options. So the fact that this industry is so wide open and there's so much space for all of it, to be quite honest, it just goes to show that there's really no glass ceiling at this point because we're still in that pioneering phase.
I know it's really fun. It's just like we have to listen to what people want. And like I don't think there's the statistics are all over the place about how fast the non-alc tiny industry is growing. Like is it growing at 100% year over year? Is it growing at 20% year over year? We like all know um that it's growing and like so many new customers are coming into it all the time. And it's just like fun to think about like, okay, like what's going to resonate? I mean, we're not going to change too much. Like we're totally dedicated to like our high precision mushrooms and like we'll keep on like doing our best to get as close to cocktail flavors as we can. But I'm sure I'm really excited to like kind of like innovate within that space, like with like what people are looking for.
Mm. This all makes me kind of think like, I know Little Saints is a CPG, but let's play in the dreamland again. If Little Saints was a building, like a bar, what would it look like? Like, what would the colors be? What kind of furniture would you put in there? Like, if Little Saints was a place, what would it feel like to walk in?
Oh, I mean, we're gonna do this, so I'll just tell you what our
Yes.
bar will look like. I mean, we don't have the funds for this yet, but like, I know it's gonna happen. It's gonna be amazing. I know the building in the design district that I want it to be in. I mean, it would for sure be mint green on the outside, and then it would
Yes.
have like a lot of plants. Like we are Miami based, it would be like beautiful, like kind of Miami jungle plants everywhere. And then inside we are maximalist, so it would be like really chic, like rich hues, like probably like we love like animal prints. I'm always wearing animal print. It would be like animal print chairs and like a cool sleek bar and lots of little nooks for people to snuggle and like have drinks together. And then for sure there would be a band and a DJ, like people need to be dancing. And it would just be like kind of like whimsical, kind of ridiculous and like really warm and sexy.
I can't wait to come hang out there.
20, I'm putting it out there right now. We're going to try this for Basel 2025.
Yes. Oh, I remember back in the day, like I said, I ran away with the circus and
Oh,
I
yeah.
I had worked at hundreds of bars across the United States going on tour. And, when I got to the point where I got sober myself and I was like, if the only way I can make money is through alcohol sales, like I just, when I started thinking a little bit more spiritually about how I wanted to leave my mark on the world, I was like, you know what? I can't have a circus anymore unless I figure out a way to have the coolest sober circus on planet Earth. And, I'd worked at a couple establishments. And then that's when, we kind of realized we're like, we could probably make a bigger impact if we're just helping more business owners across the United States to help them like figure out how to make their own version of their NA circus. And, your vision when I'm seeing it's literally like it's bridging the gap where some people feel, first off, there's not enough awesome non-alc spaces in general. But number two, like a lot of times I have encountered a lot of people who like they want to go dancing. They want to do the have a more social, vibrant environment, but it's just not the same going to places that how to say they aren't as supportive of the entire spectrum of sobriety, right? And so to hear that this is a dream that you really want to bring into reality, I know that I've had visions of these things like popping up all over the United States, and I know that it's needed everywhere. And according to all the market research that we've been doing internally as well as like through our clients, we've learned that one of the biggest requests out there, and this kind of goes for all regions in the country, which I think is so wild, is more people just want to have a space that changes throughout the day. So it's a non-alc space, but during the day, you've got like a co-working vibe. You can hang out, do the things, you can meet with your friends, you can safely go on a date without worrying about safety. And then as it moves into the evening, we have this like vibrant lifestyle where, you can have all of the same activities, but, just a little bit of the options that are more geared towards the again, the non-alc space, right? Like having fun functionally and without sacrificing tomorrow. So all of this is to say, if anybody out there is listening again who has all of the different types of dreams, I often refer to this as like just being a multi-passionate entrepreneur. There is a way to put it all together. And Megan, I think you're a wonderful example of, you know, while life can feel short sometimes with how little time it feels we have here, there's so much we can do with that time. So, if there's anyone listening who has multiple dreams, they want to start their own line and they want to have a bar and they want to do events and they want to travel or this, that, and the other, there is a way to make it all come together, even if it doesn't happen all at once. So, all of that being said, is there any last message you'd like to leave with our audience today?
No, I just think like I just want to remind anyone who wants to be an entrepreneur or is an entrepreneur, like the people that make it are the people that keep going. Like, I am having like a great day today and I have a lot of great days recently, thankfully, but like it's really hard and like the people that make it are the people that keep going and like, try to be as aligned as possible. And so if you're listening to this and that's you, keep going.
Yay. Thank you so much for that amazing message and all of the information that you've provided today. If anybody out there wants to purchase Little Saints, learn a little bit more, you can take a look at the description and you'll see all of the links to both purchase, to learn more, and to dive deeper. Thank you so much for taking your time to be with us today. I appreciate you so much, Megan.
Thank you so much. It's great to talk to you, Rena.
Yay. All right, everybody. I hope you have a great rest of your day. And as always, if you need anything, just let me know.